And it's Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business. We're with Ramon Ray today at his annual Smart Hustle Conference. Got a great group here today talking about leadership and entrepreneurs. Talking with Tony Chatman from Chatman Enterprises. Gave a great talk today on leadership, team building, and works with a lot of clients, both in private sector and in the government. And Tony, good to meet you today. Tell us a little bit about. You talked a little bit about managing teams and contributors. And I think in small businesses that really resonated with me. Teams managing. What does it take to lead a team?
Well, I think one of the things that has happened for small business owners is first to realize you have to build up that skill, right? A lot of small business owners, they're very skilled and they're great builders, but the skill set that it takes to build a space shuttle is very different than the skill set that it takes to fly one, right? So number one, understanding that there's a science and an art to it. And then the biggest thing, start off with understanding people. People are different. Learn their personalities, what motivates them, how to connect with them, how to communicate with them, what their turn-ons and turn-offs are. And then that way you'll be able to engage different people and keep them all working at a high level.
Very good. And you just made the point about different skills being needed in a company, and sometimes this was brought up by several today. Sometimes people in companies, they do what they're good at, but then you find out that you need other types of skills to make the business grow. How do you learn to do that? What are some of the key things in trying to bring the skills into a company, maybe a small company, that are needed for growth?
Well, first it starts off with training, right? People are not going to do things well that they haven't been trained in. And in doing so, having the patience to realize they're not going to do it well the first time. I had a friend tell me, anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly, okay? But you don't always have the luxury of doing that, but that's part of the reality. Beyond that, part of it is who you hire. You have to hire people who are quick learners, who are adept at learning, and are not siloed, because certain people are wired to be more siloed, and they're not going to be people who do multiple things well. They're going to do one thing well, and that's not a bad thing. They just become good subject matter experts in that one field.
And developing leadership and using that in a small company, sometimes it's a key is being able to identify what it is that needs to be done, what the possibilities are, as one speaker said today. How does a leader keep and show vision in a small company?
Well, part of it is just who they are. Certain leaders are visionary and they're great at pulling people in, and they need to work to that strength. Other people are visionary, but they do so in other ways. They do it through being able to create systems and methodologies, and those help the people to feel secure about the vision that they're approaching. So a lot of it is the leader staying within their lane and leveraging whichever strength that they have to keep that vision going.
Okay, Tony, just tell us a little bit about your background, how you developed your own firm, some of the stops along your career path that has led you to be a very prominent speaker in educating and helping organizations with leadership.
Sure. So what people normally would not think or realize is my initial background in my undergraduate degrees in chemical engineering, which is really important for me because even though I talk a lot about relationships and people, there has to be a science behind it. There's systems behind it. There's metrics and there's numbers. So that's a big part of what I do. From there, I went to nonprofit, worked in nonprofit for a number of years. Biggest problem with nonprofit is this nonprofit, right? No money. So that was the thing. When I shifted out of there, I realized I needed to learn to leverage the strengths that I had. And the biggest strengths that I had were my ability to communicate effectively and to take complex situations and make them very simple. And so from there, I started speaking publicly and professionally, and I've been doing it for about 13 years.
Very good. I got to ask you this one last question about that you made, that you need sometimes to stop doing some things to free yourself up to do the things that you really need to do. And I have to remind myself of that sometimes. Tell us, why is that important, and how do you find the things that you can take out of what you do on a regular basis to find your priorities?
Sure. As a business owner, your time is super valuable, right? So, I just assume my time's worth about $300 to $500 an hour, period. Things that aren't worth that amount of money I need to push off to somebody else. I can pay someone $20 to $25 an hour to do those other tasks so that I'm freed up to do the things that are most important and most crucial. The challenge for many leaders is some of those low effect, low paying things are just things they like to do, but they still need to be able to hand them off so that they can do the things that are best so they can effectively run their company.
Well, Tony Chatman, so good to meet you and hear your presentation today, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was really a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business at Ramon Ray's Smart Hustle Conference in New York City.